celebrate the culture while ignoring the people who created it. And that's where this procrastination Crenshaw conversation gets real. As you know, the community sent a formal letter to Harris Dawson. We're still waiting for an official response from the city. The deadline is Friday, September 4th. But in the interim, Harris Dawson penned an open letter to the community. Okay, that's fine, but responding is not the same as answering. That said, let's not confuse fixing the parking, repairing the streetlights, and repaving streets and sidewalks with finishing Destination Crenshaw. The community was promised a transformational project. So, where is it? When is this thing going to be finished? The council president says the project is being delivered on a timeline. What timeline? That's not an unreasonable question, and that's not an attack. It's not division. That is accountability. And then there's the business interruption money. So in his letter, Harris Dawson says that more than $1 million went to Doolin's on Crenshaw, and additional assistance went to a few other individuals. Oh, really? Who received the money? How much money? And who didn't? I can assure you a whole lot of folk didn't get that money. How do I know? I'm getting the phone calls. You see, transparency should not scare anybody. That's how accountability works, and that's why in our letter, we ask for an audit. But instead, what do we get? A discussion about Tavis Smiley, the pastor, the parishioners, the business owners, the people asking the questions, their motives, their ambitions, their character. Well, let me tell you something. When you can't answer the questions, attacking, insulting, and gaslighting the persons asking the questions doesn't make the questions disappear. It just makes people ask why you won't answer it. Let me be clear. We don't want to fight with the council president. We want the project finished because the people of Crenshaw are not on the sidelines, Mr. President. They are Crenshaw. And if culture really is undefeated, then respect the culture, respect the people, respect the businesses, and most importantly, respect the questions. Now, answer them. The Crenshaw Corridor community is still waiting, and September 4th is fast approaching. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Just talking louder and saying nothing and saying
nothing. Here is an offering. A kiss. A hand to hold. Someone willing to listen. To sip the silence and cuddle the question of how to better manage your fears. Here's a thought. The uniqueness of your experience is as wondrous as the silver-barked baobab. This branch grew through famine, this through abuse, Whole families buried inside. Me and you. A cultural treasure. A safe space. And a forest of shadow. Many are my constellations. Bird calls and whale songs. Volcanic sunlight. Plant medicine. And simple pleasures.
Talk 1580. That is Baobab Constellation. That is from the new album by Saul Williams, who's sitting across from me in the studio. He's a poet, an actor, a musician, a scholar.
No thumbprint is the same.
Why are you laughing? You don't like the scholar title?
No. You know, any of the titles make me laugh, actually, but scholar is a new one.
But you are a scholar.
Okay, I take it as a compliment.
Yeah, you have a master's degree, right?
That's true.
In acting, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
From the Ivies, you have a philosophy degree.
That is true.
Yeah, that sounds pretty scholarly.
Yeah, it is.
It's funny how we just do things and we don't think of the title
don't think of
or
it in
the
those terms,
yeah.
you know,
That
but-
wasn't the plan. It was just to get the knowledge, right?
Yeah, and it still is about getting that knowledge, certainly.
Tell me about what we just heard, Baobab Constellation.
So Baobab Constellation is the opening song on my new album, which is called Leap Life. And that track actually features Kamasi Washington and Aaron Shaw. I worked with Carlos Nino on this album. And yeah, it's I see it as a sort of a way, a kind of vortex opening. There's a lot of magicality in that song for me, in how it happened, in the fact that it's not a written poem. It's actually a bunch of artists walking into a room and saying, press record. And that's what happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I mean, it's very, it kind of gets into your body.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what the word is for that.
Yeah.
But it does. It kind of goes, it penetrates.
It penetrates.
Yeah.
I think it's seductive. And it also plays another role, which I think is great with music, is when it kind of like helps release, steam. It kind of gets you, it's like stepping into a tub.
Yeah. Verbal sauna. Yeah. I mean, this is, I think, your fifth album.
This might be my seventh album.
Seventh album. Dang.
Yeah. In fact, yes, it's my seventh studio album. I haven't had a studio album in 7 years. So it's my seventh studio album in 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And but you also obviously write poetry books. You do a lot of live performance. You do acting.
And I work in film a great deal. And so, yes, between that time, I co-directed a film with my wife called Neptune Frost, which we shot in Rwanda, with an entirely, Rwandan, Burundian, Congolese, Kenyan cast and crew.
Which is much bigger project than it sounds like.
Oh my goodness!
I'm having traveled extensively on the motherland.
Yeah.
Doing a film there.
Yeah.
If you're not African.
Yeah. Even if you are. Even if you are. I mean, in making that film, for example, there's no cinema rental facilities.
Right.
Right. And so, where we were in Rwanda, there were not. There are in Kenya. There are
right
in
South
Lagos.
Africa, right.
In Lagos, what have you. So we had to build like the rails for the traveling cameras. We had to build our lights. We built everything.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You took yourself to film school in Africa. Back to basics.
Yep.
So, and where can folks see that?
Neptune Frost, you can rent it anywhere now. We premiered at Cannes in 2022, and now any film streaming platform, wherever you watch films at, Google, Apple, wherever you watch films at, type in Neptune Frost and you'll see it.
We're talking about labels. I think when you first sort of, came into the public consciousness, it was a lot around the poetry slam movement. And that's live performance. I mean, that's really what that is.
Certainly.
Even though it's writing,
yes,
quiet as it's kept, it's also live performance. And you have had maybe a bunch of different iterations of yourself since then.
Yes.
Are you living in all of these worlds simultaneously, or is it a serial thing that I'm doing the slam thing, now I'm a filmmaker, now I'm writing books?
No, I would say that I'm certainly living in all those worlds simultaneously. I started writing poetry when I was in acting school. When I was getting my master's in acting, I was writing poetry at the time. My love of poetry is via literature, but it's also via theater.
Yeah.
I think that's how poetry seduced me. Like as a kid, I grew up in New York, and I went to a magnet school and started studying Shakespeare really young, and then reading Shakespeare on my own. And my favorite part about being an actor, aside from getting on stage and performing, was the time that we would spend around the table reading and rereading, the script and breaking down all the layers of meaning and what have you. And it was there, I think, that I became enamored by what you could say and how you could say it. I mean, of course, this is happening simultaneously with the birth of hip hop and the whole nine, which we are defending from people who are like, it's not even music, by saying, but it's poetry. It's poetry.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think I was slowly seduced, by language through theater, through music, so through other mediums, so the sort of collage of mediums that I work through, to me, are very much connected, even, for example, we were talking about your father. I came across your father's work as a young actor. I mean, I grew up in a household where your father's name was known, and there were books there. But the first thing I opened up and saw was The Dutchman.
The play, my father's play.
Exactly.
Back when he was known as Leroy Jones.
Exactly.
Before he switched to Amiri Baraka.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I would perform, Clay's monologue as a teenager to get into acting classes.
That's wild. My mind just immediately imagined you doing
I've done that play a few times. Yeah. But as a young person, and of course, yes, I mean, it's there's so much power in that text, right? But there's also poetry in it.
Yeah.
And it's talking about music. Right?
Yeah.
Bessie Smith.
Yeah.
What she's saying, that's what I love about that monologue. Is his interpretation of, like, if you want to know what Charlie Parker is saying, if you want to know what Bessie Smith is saying, before love, before romance, before any of that, what she's saying is.
He has it memorized. And then fast forward, of course, you end up working with my dad.
Yeah.
Knowing him very well. And,
yeah.
I would arguably say making him more accepting of the whole slam culture, but also, speaking at his funeral, which we are profoundly grateful for.
Yes,
the whole family was powerful.
Yeah, I was so excited the first time that I met your father, and it was after before poetry slams, I started reading at a place called the Brooklyn Moon in Fort Greene, Brooklyn, and it was open mics. And for most of us, we were into open mics.
Right.
And they were telling us about this thing happening at the Nuyorican. But what was happening at the open mics was so beautiful that we were like, yeah, I'm not going into Manhattan for that.
Right.
I'm staying at the open mic. Eventually, I think it was Jessica Caramore who convinced me, like, no, you got to come on Wednesday to the Nuyorican and see the slam thing. I'm like, competing? It didn't make sense to me either, But I went and won.
You went and won. We talk more about that. The Nuyorican is also kind of an intersection, a
Yeah.
crossroads for a lot of folks and a lot of things. Saul Williams is here. He's got a new album, and we're going to hear more of it and more about it when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions. This is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
The KBLA 1580 app puts the realest conversations right in your pocket. Stream live wherever you are in the world. No static. No searching the dial. A crystal clear connection 24/7, exactly when you want it. We recommend that you keep automatic updates enabled. Set it and forget it. So the app stays up to date with store requirements, bug fixes, and new features as we roll them out. Download the KBLA 1580 app today and stay plugged into the conversation everyone's having.
As a fitness coach, my active psoriatic arthritis can slow me down. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, I'm treating my skin and joint symptoms so I can keep moving. Skyrizi, a prescription-only injection for adults, helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And for those who have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible. With Skyrizi, there's no daily dosing. It's just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
My name is Khalifa Bey. I am the founder of the South LA Bureau of Tourism and Trade. And how this is impacting me is that I can't promote it. I won't promote it. I hear a lot of talk about everybody. Accountability is responsibility. Change your vote. Change the vote. I know there's a lot of Democrats in this room, and I get all that, but if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result, it ain't gonna happen. And it's not about Democrat, Republican, it's about getting what we need to get done. That's what it is for me, because this is deliberate. This of our communities, you look at Chicago, you look at all the black communities were built by us, we're in the same condition. So to me, it's by design. And if we don't do something to change the vote to get to what we need, stop having these meetings.
Making sure they stick to the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
I as a witness to life circle my enemy twice. The weapon is music. Music. It's a warrior who's disguised as a dancer. And when she moves her hips, it's just to place her dagger. And you should know by now she's studying your laughter. Thing about music is it lives in the hereafter. Fact that you hear my voice because I tuned the station. And you should know by now the wind is my relation. Thing about music is it signals the occasion. And you should know by now my lineage is Haitian. as a dancer. And when she moves her hips, it's just to place her dagger. And you should know by now she's studying your laughter. Thing about music is it lives in the hereafter. Fact that you hear my voice because I tuned the station. And you should know by now the wind is my relation. Thing about music is it signals the occasion. Ceremonial enchanted orchestration.
KBLA Talk 1580. That's the Dagger. That's the single.
Yeah, that's the single that comes out tomorrow with the release of the album Leap Life.
It's kind of funky.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you're calling in your ancestors. You're.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. That's nothing new, but it's very present.
It's very present. It's very present on this album. It's an important role of music, actually, that is, kind of lost with the commodification, through consumerism of just, constant thinking of music as escape, as distraction, as a way of letting off steam, where ancestrally and traditionally we have also used music to direct steam, to tune in to a moment, for rites of passage, for ceremony. There's so much that is born. There's songs for weddings, there's songs for funerals, there's songs for mobilizing an army, all of this stuff, and songs for the crops to grow, songs that you sing to the cows as you milk them, there's a history to that. Just like there's a history to poetry and gatherings, right? So we were talking about poetry gatherings and the idea of that, the new phenomenon in the 90s of slams and all that, but it was also really ancient. Like poetry was in the first Olympics.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Poetry was actually one of the competitions in the first Olympics. That's what the troubadours were. They were competitive poets. They should bring it back. It would be horrible for poetry, actually.
No, I know it. That would be a nightmare, right?
Maybe not. It could be beautiful. I would love to hear, what Ireland's going to bring.
Right,
what is Venezuela going to bring? What is Iran going to bring to the Poetry Olympics? They're going to crush it.
Yeah.
They're going to crush it.
It would be wild for sure.
Yeah.
But you explore those places, right? The crossover between incantation and poetry, between song and spoken word, between prayer
and spells.
Yeah, all of those things are part of the power of the word.
It is. It is. This was one of the huge lessons of poetry and hip hop for me.
Yeah.
I have a poem called Coded Language that I wrote in the late 90s after the death of Biggie and Tupac. And it never, I was always amazed at the fact that Biggie's album before he died was called Ready to Die.
Yeah.
And that he had named his album that came out post-mortem Life After Death. The idea of calling things into existence. The idea of, the reality of the power of words, of the present being the present dictated by what we say and called forth and all the stuff of manifestation, as some people speak about it. But so much is embedded in language. So I'm always listening carefully to what people say, because a lot of times we sabotage ourselves through language.
Yeah, I'm working on that myself. It's just being conscious, right?
Yeah.
Being mindful and intentional.
Mindful and intentional with what we say and how we say it. And of course with poetry, which fixates oftentimes on the economy of language, how to say more while using less, getting directly to the point. Yeah, you're forced to think about that and to realize that these things shift. And it's crazy because I had, like I said, I grew up studying theater and rapping, but I really thought that I was just going to be doing straight up acting. That's what I thought. And then I started writing poetry as a young adult. And as soon as I opened my mouth to read a poem, my whole world shifted. And I could not observe that phenomenon. And by my whole world shifting, I mean March 16th, 1995. I know the day.
Wow.
I read a poem at the Brooklyn Moons, the first time I ever read a poem out loud. I finished that poem, and someone came up to me and said, hey, Mary Brock and Sonia Sanchez are going to be reading at Medgar Evers College. We'd like you to open up for them. Someone else came up to me and said, Allen Ginsberg's going to be reading at NYU. We want you to open up for him. Someone else came up to me and said, KRS-One and the Fugees are performing at Rock Against Racism in Union Square. We want you to open up for them. Someone else came up to me and said, Gil Scott-Heron and the Last Poets are performing at SOBs. We want you to open up for them. I had one poem. And a lot of writing to do.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I know that date. Right?
Because, but also when purpose calls you.
Yeah, when purpose calls you. But I was in grad school for acting at the time. In a sense, in my mind, I'd already made it. I was on the path towards the thing I was looking forward to
at
doing.
NYU, no less.
Yeah, at NYU. I felt great about where I was. But then I'm doing this extracurricularly, and all of these doors open, and I'm like, oh, maybe I don't have it all figured out. Maybe there's also something figuring stuff out beyond, you know, what I can plan.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's
powerful.
and that's all in language.
Well, we only have a minute before news, traffic, and sports. We'll talk on the other side. We said we were going to mention the New Eurekan Poets Cafe.
Yes.
That's where I got introduced to hip hop.
Amazing.
Just tagging along with my parents. And what's that breakdancing? What they would call it b-boying, burning back then. What is that? And what are these people doing on this mic? It's still going after all these years.
Still going. And that's where I got introduced to slam poetry. Because like I said, I started with open mics. I didn't know about competition with poetry, but I got introduced to it at the New Eurekan.
And you won their contest, which was a huge deal. I mean, that was...
I became the New Eurekan Poet Laureate in 1996.
Wow, which is a big deal. And it's still sort of bringing people forward who are really talented to this day.
To this day. And it also brings kids out of the streets. It does some of the similar stuff that hip hop was doing, right? People don't talk about the fact that hip hop was like shifting gang culture, so that instead of like battling with guns, we were now breakdance battling and rap battling and all this type of stuff, you know? It really shifted culture in an amazing way.
We got to witness a lot of that. Saul Williams is here. We'll continue the conversation after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Detroit business leaders are warning that higher tariffs on Canadian goods could drive up costs for consumers. Detroit Regional Chamber CEO Sandy Bruja.
We're going to see higher prices for automobiles, and this is only going to exacerbate that.
He says today's manufacturing jobs don't provide the same middle-class lifestyle they once did, despite President Trump's push to bring more jobs back. Target shares fell nearly 4% Tuesday amid backlash over a Halloween costume critics called offensive, especially to black consumers. The retailer has pulled the costume from stores as controversy over the product continues to grow. And R&B singer Joe is set to headline the 6th annual Star 94.5 Heart and Soul Music Festival in Apopka, Florida this October. Kiki Wyatt, Case, Combustion, Melissa Morgan, and Chubb Rock are also scheduled to perform. Tickets are on sale now. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
There is more drama with the Lakers sale. Jeannie Buss, one of 6 children of former Lakers owner Jerry Buss, has filed a lawsuit against her 5 siblings to block the sale of the siblings' 17.8% ownership of the Lakers to Bob Iger and Josh Kushner. Iger and Kushner have an agreement with Lakers owner Mark Walter to buy the team from Walter for $12.5 billion. 5 of Buss's children have agreed to sell their percentage to Iger and Kushner. Jeannie is holding out because she feels the Buss name should maintain some percentage of the Lakers with the new ownership group. The sale is not official until the NBA Board of Governors vote to give formal approval. The next owners meeting is in September in New York City. The Dodgers lost another one-run game in Atlanta Wednesday night, 6-5. The Braves got a 2-out pinch hit single in the bottom of the 9th to win it. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh no. Straight the roof down.
Oh, no, we have time.
Please, God, save us. Save our house. Please, God, please.
At KBLA Talk 1580,
We haven't forgotten what happened Tuesday, January 7th, 2025.
The trauma, processing the loss of our home. How do we address the compounding effect of the fire now more than 18 months later? I noticed one of my 3 children engaged in self-harm who hasn't been able to articulate the challenges that they've had since the fire. And 4 out of the 5 folks in our household are in therapy. 1 is not. And the one that's not is the one who I noticed with some marks on their person. This isn't okay. You need to talk to someone.
Black historical memory keeps alive the stories and struggles of everyday people and communities. Black historical memory preserves truths that others attempt to erase, minimize, or distort. Black historical memory prevents history from repeating its worst chapters. At KBLA Talk 1580, we will never forget. Tune into Conversation Live, Altadena Forward with James Farr, weekends on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Chris Holden, former California Assembly member, former Mayor of Pasadena, and CEO of LA Fire Justice. I've spent my career fighting for our communities. When I saw Edison celebrating $4.5 billion in profits while Eaton Fire survivors struggled to make ends meet, it made me simultaneously sick and furious. Families and individuals are dealing with financial pressure, insurance delays, costly remediation, and the painful question of how to rebuild their lives, while the utility that caused the fire is paying its executives millions and is more profitable than ever. That's not justice. That's a disgrace. Join the lawsuit with LA Fire Justice to hold Edison accountable. We're here to help you, your family, and our community recover. Visit lafirejustice.com today to learn more about your eligibility and how to start.
Advertisement. Douglas Boxer, 221 East Walnut Street, Suite 100, Pasadena, California, 91101 is the attorney responsible for this ad.
LA Fire Justice is proud to sponsor Conversation Live. Altadena Forward with James Farr.
Don't be anxious or confused about AI. Take control of your career when you get the skills to tackle real business problems and design specialized solutions. HR Dive reported that entry-level talent with applied AI credentials can receive up to a 25% salary boost. But where do you find training that you can trust? Future-proof your career and deliver more value with Humans Lead the Way AI. Their hybrid learning courses use practical definitions, real-world examples, and strategic insights to help you and your team understand AI with confidence. No magic, no hacks, no shortcuts. Just practical knowledge that helps you use AI more successfully. Don't wait. AI can never replace people who know how to use it well. Register for courses today at humansleadtheway.com. That's humansleadtheway.com.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
These potatoes look like humans. The history of dispossession. Imagine that you were lost in a twisted world with no one to depend on. When you bleed, no matter how much you shout and scream, no one comes. Then imagine that this is not some imaginary world. It is your world. Your home.
The tree is life. Life and the spirit of the land.
Violence and the meaning of land. These eyes are looking for a home. This land. This land is home.
Great-grandmother, great-great-grandmother, great-great-great-grandmother.
The laborer,
The farmer. The prisoner.
Real space and time.
Saul Williams is here. You want to outro your poem while it's still going?
No, I let it happen. You know, it's that poem actually is inspired by a book called "These Potatoes Look Like Humans," which is by a South African writer named Mbuso Nkosi, and it's talking about indigenous dispossession of land, and the title comes from the 1959 potato boycotts in South Africa, where they began to realize that Afrikaner farmers were in fact murdering black workers, and they were pulling potatoes from the ground and realizing that they were not potatoes, but they were in fact the body parts of Africans that had been, dispossessed of their land and then murdered on it. And of course, with all the things happening in the world, indigenous dispossession, whether it's through, warfare or through mining, extraction, it's very much a current topic, especially in the settler colonial realities of the U.S. or Canada, Australia, and in all of the territories that that global corporations are focused on for the extraction of the resources that our technology and Western comforts depend on.
Yeah. And the now refugee status of said Afrikaners coming to the United States as the only people being granted refugee status.
The only people being granted that status. Meanwhile, Haitians, Venezuelans, you think of all the people that, all the governments that our government has worked to destabilize.
Yeah.
So that it becomes no question why some families would choose to cross into these borders, for safety from the U.S. Army, which is a crazy thing to think about. Like, if you're dodging the U.S. Army outside of the borders, yet dodging ICE inside the borders, like, where is the actual democracy? Where is the actual freedom? So yeah, it's a hellscape. It's a hellscape.
I mean, true. And under that criteria, the most frequent refugees should be Palestinians.
Hello.
But
yeah,
we know how that policy goes. If it is a hellscape, what is our role as artists, as activists? I mean, it's. I've been thinking and talking about this, in the context of the Black Arts Movement.
Yeah.
Is it time for a new Black Arts Movement? Did it ever fully go away? What is our role?
Well, I mean, I think COINTELPRO and Nixon, I think these things played a huge job. I'll never forget. I wasn't, necessarily conscious when it happened. I wasn't even alive, but but I do know, yes. And I've studied how Nixon co-opted Kwame Toure's Black Power, the terminology Black Power, and so at that time, that's when Kwame Toure is the the minister of the Black Panther Party for that brief moment in 1968, and then you have Nixon's campaign, and during his campaign as a Republican, he starts chanting Black Power, and people are like, what are you talking, why is he saying Black Power? He was like, well, to me, Black Power is Black capitalism.
Right.
And they see that as a stroke of genius. They see it as a stroke of genius because they go, oh wow, if we push forward this idea of Black capitalism, yeah, maybe one or two people will make it through. They'll serve as examples and hope for everyone else, while everybody else gets exploited in the work process and what have you, and we keep on going as usual, right?
Right, and that formula is working really well.
That formula has worked well, even psychologically, on our own people who identify as capitalists.
Right, where we go to Black excellence and Black wealth being the end goal.
Yeah, people start talking about generational wealth and all this sort of stuff, and don't realize that, that when they talk about freedom, for example, they really are neglecting to talk about responsibility, and that socialism is really the science of life. We all can agree that our taxes should pay for all of us to have education, healthcare, housing. That's socialism.
Yep.
Is the communal response to sharing resources, what have you. And it's crazy because, the first time the word communism was ever used in English was when the English settlers were describing the indigenous of Turtle Island, of this land. They called them communists. Communism had not been born yet. You have 200 years before communism is born.
Right.
Right? But they called them communists because of the fact that they had a communal way of living with no concept of land ownership. And for that, they called them savage. That was the basis of what Europeans called savage, is that they didn't have an idea or a practice of private ownership of land.
Right. There's that collective consciousness.
That collective consciousness, right? And so, capitalism has played a huge role in diverting, you talk about the Black Arts movement, our movement and our progress as human beings and as a human collective has been thwarted through capitalism. And it's funny because it infects and affects our dreams even, right? Like some people move to another country and they say, I realize I'm learning the language because I had a dream in French, or I had a dream in the language I'm trying to learn.
Yes.
So now I really know
It's
I'm learning.
in my consciousness.
It's in my consciousness. We dream in capitalism. That's the thing.
I mean, that's scary, but true. I hadn't thought about it that way.
And so we have to find a way to detangle ourselves from it. And a lot of people get confused, right? Because they think, well, you have a job and you charge this much for a poetry reading or da-da-da. Operating within a capitalist system is not the same thing as being a capitalist. Capitalism is a system based on exploitation of workers and accumulation, right? Of profit. That is very different from individuals who open up a store and say, I'm going to sell goods here from a farm and the deal that I made with this farmer and what have you. That's not necessarily exploitation of workers. That's not the capitalist system.
Right.
So you get a lot of people every time who will stand up and go, what do you do without capitalism?
Yeah.
Who have no understanding that we're talking about a system that for most of us is not working for us, and that there are other systems in play on this planet right now. I've lived outside of this country. I've lived in socialist societies in Europe, for example, right? Where you get sick, you have a cough, and the first thing you do is you go to the doctor. And it's free. And you want to send your kid to school, and they get the grades and they go. And it's free. And it's just normal.
Right. And and here we are in California. We were talking about this at the beginning of the show, where a billionaire is willing to pay $100 million to prevent himself from paying $20 million in taxes.
Hello.
Because the real goal is to defeat that idea that we all have to contribute to the greater good. Exactly.
Communalism, right? And so that would be the less charged word.
Communalism, right? True. Very, very much less charged word, and it's just a few letters.
Yeah, but that's what they've always focused on in this country. That's part of how they've indoctrinated us from birth. And this is what, Paul Robeson and W.E.B. Du Bois. This is exactly where we are, where things have come full circle. Robeson, Du Bois were labeled as communists. They had their passports taken from them in 1950. They were restricted from traveling for 8 years because they were identified as communists. The reason that they gave for taking Paul Robeson's passport was because he travels to foreign countries and he critiques the U.S. government and has the nerve to talk about African independence. They called W.E.B. Du Bois a foreign agent because he passed around a petition trying to stop nuclear proliferation. They said, he's working for China.
Yeah.
He's working for Russia. They said that then. And they still get away with saying the same exact stuff right now. Oh, it's China. It's Russia. But it's been, I'm not, who? I'm going to have your dad's poem. Who? Somebody, don't get me started.
Oh, no. Baraka has entered. Saul Williams is here. We're talking about a lot of things, but among them, his new album, which drops tomorrow officially, right?
Which drops tomorrow. And then on September 8th through Haymarket Press, I have my first book of nonfiction coming out called...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, coming out called Songs My Mother Taught Me, Why the Artist Must Take Sides. And so it addresses this question of what is the role of the artist.
I'm definitely going to have to buy that one. Saul Williams is our guest. We'll continue the conversation when we come forward, only right here.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
My name is Bronwyn, and I've been in this neighborhood for 65 years.
All righty.
I was raised here, right on Crenshaw Boulevard. Ancestry, legacy, everything. No parking. In regards to our elderly, in regards to trying to get from one end to the other, 48th and 50th Street is a dead zone. You got to get off the bus and you got to make your way down in the middle of the block. I'm right across the street. I understand one of the things. I am happy to see you guys. I've been in too many meetings where you weren't there. I understand those who own the buildings and your properties. I understand those who rent from you. Here it is. Why can't we invest in each other?
Making sure they follow through. We're KBLA, Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Chris Holden, former California Assembly member, former Mayor of Pasadena, and CEO of LA Fire Justice. I've spent my career fighting for our communities. When I saw Edison celebrating $4.5 billion in profits while Eaton fire survivors struggle to make ends meet, it made me simultaneously sick and furious. Families and individuals are dealing with financial pressure, insurance delays, costly remediation, and the painful question of how to rebuild their lives, while the utility that caused the fire is paying its executives millions and is more profitable than ever. That's not justice. That's a disgrace. Join the lawsuit with LA Fire Justice to hold Edison accountable. We're here to help you, your family, and our community recover. Visit lafirejustice.com today to learn more about your eligibility and how to start.
Advertisement. Douglas Boxer, 221 East Walnut Street, Suite 100, Pasadena, California, 91101 is the attorney responsible for this ad.
LA Fire Justice is proud to sponsor Conversation Live. Altadena Forward with James Farr.
Hi, I'm Dominique DiPrima. Taking care of our aging loved ones is always a top priority. But do you know that the rising cost of the long-term skilled nursing home can easily exceed $10,000 a month? Be aware that that cost isn't covered by health insurance, Medicare, or the VA. Even short nursing home stays can wipe out your family savings. Attorney Zoran Basic and his firm, Nursing Home Solutions, can help most middle-class families qualify for nursing home benefits to be paid by the state. You've heard Zoran Basic on my show, and you remember that these are benefits that you have earned. Protect your assets that have taken a lifetime to build. Keep the savings, the family home, and the business. Call Zoran at Nursing Home Solutions at 800-773-6467. Nursing Home Solutions does not require in-person meetings. The phone number is 800-773-6467. That's 800-773-6467, or log on to nhscare.com for Nursing Home Solutions.
At the Y, strength means something different. It means people of all ages being together. It means you can be swishing the game-winning shot, learning to plie in first position, jabbing, crossing, and hooking a punching bag, canoeing in the lake at summer camp, donating food for your neighbors, watching your son learn about water safety in the pool. 175 years later, there's still no place like this place. Get involved at your Y. Learn more at ymca.org.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Okay, Saul Williams is here in the studio.
Yes,
it's been
yes.
great having you. Thank you for coming and spending the hour. We're not done yet, but I want to make sure I say that. And the book is coming out on
September
Haymarket
8th.
September
Yes,
8th.
Songs My Mother Taught Me, and the album Leap Life is out tomorrow.
Leap Life out tomorrow. Where do we find these things?
So nowadays, just type in my name and you'll see. No, but so for the album, you can stream it on any platform, or you can go to some place like Bandcamp or what have you on my website and actually purchase vinyl or CDs.
SaulWilliams.com.
Yeah, SaulWilliams.com.
I mean, yeah, you say nowadays,
Yeah.
but actually you were kind of really on the cutting edge of getting away from these models of turning
Certainly.
over everything to the corporate and
For
the
sure.
record label. And, Miles is big on that. He's a rapper.
Yeah.
And how, buy from the artist.
Exactly. In 2008, my album Niggy Tardust, we were one of the first to do the pay what you want scale. You can have it
Yes.
for free or pay us directly. you know, and which was I had to meet with like 6 or 7 lawyers to see if I had the right to give my music away.
That's crazy.
At that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's a big topic of conversation because the new model with streaming doesn't pay the artist anything, and people are getting exploited, and streams are being manipulated.
Yeah.
So you were a pioneer of getting us to think about it.
Getting us to think about it, for sure. And so there's that.
So go to Bandcamp.
Go to
or
Bandcamp,
SaulWilliams.com.
Or SaulWilliams.com. And then Haymarket Press, for songs my mother taught me, you can... I would not tell anyone to purchase from Amazon. I would tell them to go to an independent bookseller. You could type in my name and the new book, and you can find black bookstores, independent bookstores that will ship it and mail it to you in the same way. There's also an audio version of the book. You don't necessarily have to purchase from the big,
Right, from the evil empire.
Yeah, from the evil empire. But it's available everywhere.
I got to ask you about Sinners.
Yeah.
That was a great performance.
Thank you.
I'm sure that people that don't know anything about poetry or music are now coming up to you on the street. What is that like, speaking of living in simultaneous worlds?
What's funny is that the thing that made me want to be an actor was horror films.
Really?
Yeah, I saw The Shining. I saw The Shining as a kid. And I was like, that thing that Jack Nicholson is doing is brilliant. And so, like, my sisters, I have 2 older sisters who I would try my damnedest to scare, as much like washing dishes and taking my time washing the knives really slowly and looking at them. Like I was. That was more than anything. I wanted to do something like The Shining. So being asked to be in a horror film, and it's funny because when I first read the script, I was so excited about what this thing was, and it's beautifully written. Like Ryan Coogler is an extraordinary writer. So everything you see and feel on screen, like you feel and felt on the page, beautifully written. And I love the fact that I was able to deliver, those lines which resonate through the film of like, you keep dancing with the devil.
Yeah.
Day, yep.
Were you surprised how big it was? I mean, I'm not going to lie. I have been, that he was able to say what he's saying, what you guys were saying with that film, and for it to go so huge.
He's a master. I mean, what's funny is like 2 weeks before the film came out, my wife and I were driving like down Sunset. I was like, there's no Sinners billboards. I don't know how they promoted this thing. Like, and then I saw Ryan online doing the little Polaroid video of like, this is the format we shot the film in. You should watch it in this format. Now, if we shot it in this format, it would look like this. And he does this little nerdy video. Have you seen that video?
Yes, I did.
That went viral of him talking about, his enthusiasm about how the film was shot and the format that it was shot in. And I watched that go viral and was like, oh, people are about to show up, aren't they? And sure enough, yeah. And then I saw it and was like, oh my God, yeah. Beautiful. It was beautiful to see the response to that film. But he has that. He carries that in him. He carries us, a concern for us, a concern for the community. That is packaged in his work.
Oaktown.
Yeah.
But you,
just
little Bay Area love
like
right there. I have to throw that in. Oaktown. But then again, he called you.
Yes.
You didn't go on some cattle call. He had you in mind.
He had me in mind. In fact, he had called me for Black Panther. And it was while I was in Rwanda shooting Neptune Frost. And so I was like, I can't abandon my film.
Right. Wow, you turned down Black Panther.
So I wasn't
That's
able
wild.
to participate in that. But I was so excited about doing this film. Plus, my dad was a preacher,
Wow.
And so I was very familiar with the territory.
That's a fine line to walk right there.
Yeah. I was very familiar with the territory.
Wow. Well, I mean, I think it's amazing that, you remain so, you just said we're living in a hellscape, but you remain so joyful and so productive and prolific. So, I mean, we got a minute here. What do you want to leave folks with? I think some folks, not doing so well with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have to remember that it is a marathon. that we are in the midst of fighting, and the struggle that we are a part of continues. And thinking of it as a marathon is useful, because yes, there are things that we do fight to achieve in our lifetime, but we also are fighting to achieve stuff for our children, our grandchildren, for generations to come. And it is our core responsibility for those of us living within the core of empire to crumble the empire from the inside, to not let this country do to others what it has done to us. Right? So that means that it's not only about protecting our rights here, but it's also about that internationalist sense of realizing that it's not okay how they treat black and brown people outside of these borders as well. And so, yeah, we have a lot of work to do, but we can do it. We can do it. We got to tear ourselves away from these two parties and get people that actually represent us. Yeah, we got work to do. But
big work.
Yeah.
Saul Williams, thank you so much for spending the hour with me. It's much appreciated.
It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you so much.
And you guys know Tavis Smiley is coming up next. He's coming around the corner. He's got a great show on deck for you, so you do not want to miss that. You can find Saul's album at saulwilliams.com. You can find me at DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio everywhere. I like to leave us with a quote, like my late and great poet laureate father Amiri Baraka used to say, a person is either free or they are not free. There can be no apprenticeship for freedom.
Oh.
Indeed, indeed. I will keep the conversation going with you online, but until then, stay up. Let's listen to some poetry. Let's inspire ourselves, so that we're not the ones who crumble, but we can do the crumbling. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Until tomorrow, my beloved KBLA delegation, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Detroit business leaders are warning that higher tariffs on Canadian goods could drive up costs for consumers. Detroit Regional Chamber CEO Sandy Bruja.
We're going to see higher prices for automobiles, and this is only going to exacerbate that.
He says today's manufacturing jobs don't provide the same middle-class lifestyle they once did, despite President Trump's push to bring more jobs back. Target shares fell nearly 4% Tuesday amid backlash over a Halloween costume critics called offensive, especially to black consumers. The retailer has pulled the costume from stores as controversy over the product continues to grow. And R&B singer Joe is set to headline the 6th annual